The Senzo Meyiwa Trial has resumed in the Pretoria High Court with the cross-examination of state witness Christopher Matlou. Newzroom Afrika's Linda Mnisi has been following proceedings and joins us now. Linda, good afternoon. It's important, right, these the NaTIS or the NaTIS details, because it shows the presence in the province of one of the key accused in here at a time when he says I simply wasn't living here anymore.
Yes, in particular accused number one. You'll remember just, in the main trial earlier, what his lawyer had told a state witness, Constable Sizwe Zungu, was that he was not in Gauteng at the time when Senzo Meyiwa was killed. In fact, after he lost his job in 2013, he left the province and went back to live in KZN and only came back in 2015. Now, the NaTIS system shows that he was in Joburg in 2014, and that is what Christopher Matlou, the investigator from the RTMC, is telling the court right now, that according to the records that they have, it seems that he had applied for a learner's license in July 2014 and had failed, and then, returned on the same day, in fact, went and booked another date, he was then given the 15th of September. He then booked and wrote on that particular day, on the 15th of September 2014, and passed. And if you remember, Senzo Meyiwa was killed the next month, which was October 2014. If you remember the evidence of Zungu, he said that on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, in fact, he had spotted accused number one along with other accused persons at night at the Phosphorus hostel. This Phosphorus hostel is also contained in the alleged confession statements made by Muzi Sibiya, that they had started at the Phosphorus hostel before they made their way to the crime scene itself. But this piece of evidence is also important in as far as Colonel Stein's evidence. He detailed the connection of the accused through cell phone numbers. So what the state here is trying to show is that the cell phone numbers that Stein gave to the court match the cell phone numbers that the accused would have furnished when they were applying for licenses in the NaTIS system.
All right, so location here, very, very important. However, we heard from the defense team saying, sometimes details and addresses stay on the system, not necessarily because the people still live there. Yeah. They could have moved on, and he tried to kind of push back in that cross-examination around this particular point.
Yes, so they're saying that this evidence is irrelevant, and that the witness cannot assist the court in terms of the whereabouts of the accused on that particular day when Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And as far as the addresses are concerned, it does not reflect any changes. And if the person had changed their address and moved to a different location, and what this witness is saying, Christopher Matlou, is that the system does give the person an option to change their address. So it looks like the address that they gave was not changed at that particular time.
All right, so this is all very important. Again, telescope out of today's cross-examination and what Chris Matlou has been telling the court since he first took the stand on Friday. Just piece together where we are right now.
Okay, so Christopher Matlou is a state witness that is giving evidence around based on a request that he received from the lead investigator in the case. He said this request came in 2020 when Brigadier Bongani Gininda asked that he look into the system to check the particulars of these accused. And what he's been putting on record has been the addresses of the accused, their cell phone numbers, their personal details, which were given allegedly by the accused themselves when they were making use of this NaTIS system. So it gives details around even their cell phone numbers. And like I said, it's important, and what the state is trying to do here is piece together the pieces and sort of place safeguards, for evidence that was already given by other witnesses. Like I mentioned, the evidence of Colonel Stein, which deals with cell phone numbers, because that web of links also speaks to how the accused know each other. But also, you'll remember in that web of links of cell phone numbers, there was a challenge to say these numbers are not, in particular accused number 5, his cell phone number was not registered with his number, right? His name, rather. So those issues then are what the state is dealing with in terms of the cell phone numbers, to say even if the number was not registered in his name, this is a platform that would have required him to give his own cell phone numbers, and the cell phone numbers are linked to his ID number and other personal information. So the state is trying to connect the dots for the court, because the responsibility here is for them to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these guys were in Johannesburg at the time, and it's not necessarily the defense's duty to do that.
Linda, these court proceedings are nothing if not exacting, and we really, get a real deep understanding of how the pieces fit together and just the nature of evidence collecting in a complex case like this. Thanks so much for updating us. The court, of course, will continue. They're on a tea break, I understand, right now, so we'll continue later, and we'll keep you updated on that.